Let's use the 2 points below to find the distance, the midpoint, and the slope. Okay, we're going to round to 2 decimal places if we need to. Okay, so first let's find the distance. Remember, the distance formula says the square root of the x values subtracted squared plus the y values subtracted squared. Okay, so that's what we'll do. When we say exact distance and approximate distance, we'll talk about that in a second, but exact distance tends to have square roots involved, whereas the approximate distance tends to not. It has decimals. Okay, so what we'll do here is label. Here's our first x and our first y, so we put little ones. Our second x and our second y, so we'll put little twos. Okay, so let's fill in this formula real quick. This is going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared as well. Add those together and find the square root. Okay, well, that's going to be -4 minus 3 is -7 squared plus 0 minus 1 is -1 squared. Okay, well, that's going to give me the square root of 49 plus 1, the square root of 50. Now, of course, I'm going to have to try to simplify that, so I'll just do that off to the side right here. 50 is 10 and 5. 10 is 2 and 5. Pair of 5s, 2 left behind. My exact distance is 5, the square root of 2. That's my exact distance. Now, to find the approximate distance, the best way to do it at this point is just type in 5 square root of 2 in the calculator. Okay? If I typed it in the calculator, I would get 7.071067812, blah, 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 blah. It keeps on going forever. Okay, that's why it's called an approximate distance. We have to actually round it at some point. And so for this problem, let's round it to 2 decimal places. That would be right here. I'm going to check this number behind it to make sure it's not a 5 or above. If this were 5 or above, I would round this to an 8, right? But it's not. It's a 1. 1's a small number, so my approximate distance is going to just be 7.07 as it is, right? So 5 square root of 2 is the exact value. It gives you the exact value if you type it in a calculator, at least as much as a calculator can handle. The approximate distance, you just rounded it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be a little bit off. Okay, to find the midpoint, let's discuss the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula: add the x values together, divide by 2. Add the y values together, divide by 2. This will create a new point. That point will be the midpoint. Okay, so let's plug in our numbers. Let's see, I'm going to have to scroll up so I can see those numbers there. Let's just go ahead and set myself up here. Okay, so x1 plus x2. x1 is 3. And x2 is -4. So we're going to put 3 and -4. Okay, now y1 plus y2. y1 is 1 and y2 is 0. So we're going to have 1 and 0. Okay, well, let's figure this out. 4 plus negative, oh my goodness, 3 plus -4. We'll treat that plus negative as a minus sign. Okay, that's how we should handle that. 3 minus 4 is -1. So we have -1 over 2. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So we have +1 over 2. So there's our midpoint. -1/2, comma, +1/2. Okay, and then finally, we want to find the slope. Now remember, the slope is found with the slope formula. Subtract the y values, y2 minus y1, over x2 minus x1. That'll be our slope. Okay, let me set myself up before I scroll up and look at the numbers. Okay, actually I could steal the numbers from right here, right? But Anyway, let's see. y2 is 0 and y1 is 1. y2 is 0 and y1 is 1. Okay, x2 is negative 4 and x1 is 3. So negative 4 minus 3. Okay, well, 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Negative over negative is positive, so my slope is 1/7. Okay, there we go. Those would be the exact distance, the approximate distance, the midpoint, and the slope.